welcome to our deep dive, into the fascinating world of the Moa, specifically for evolutionary biology students like yourself.
Indeed.
We're going to be drawing from excerpts from the Wikipedia page on Moa and a Moa timeline and caste summary.
Right.
And our mission today is to really kind of explore their evolutionary journey, their relationship with humans, and even dive into the possibility of their revival.
Yeah, it's a captivating story that touches upon many key concepts in evolutionary biology, from adaptation and speciation to extinction and the delicate balance of ecosystems.
So let's just start by painting a picture, for our listeners of what these extinct birds were like.
Okay.
Like imagine New Zealand just dominated by giant flightless birds.
Right.
Some the size of a turkey, but others towering over 12 feet tall.
Wow.
That's the incredible size range that we're talking about, from the bush moa to the massive Dinornis robustus and Dinornis novazelandiae.
Right, and they weren't just big birds. They were really unique in many ways. Unlike other ratites like ostriches or emus, moa were completely wingless, which is a testament to their adaptation to this predator-free environment.
Wow.
They were the dominant herbivores shaping the landscape and vegetation of New Zealand for millions of years.
That's incredible. So as an evolutionary biology student, you're probably familiar with the concept of convergent evolution,
Right.
where unrelated species develop similar traits in response to similar environments.
Yeah.
Moa with their powerful legs and large bodies.
Yeah.
Might seem like a classic example,
Absolutely.
especially when we compare them to other flightless birds.
Uh-huh.
However, their family tree holds a really surprising twist.
Yeah, for years, scientists grouped moa with other ratites like kiwi emus and cassowaries, just assuming a close evolutionary relationship.
Right, makes sense.
But genetic studies revealed a totally different story.
Wow.
Their closest living relatives are actually the tinamous of South America.
Tinamous?
Yeah.
Those are small flighted birds.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's really a fascinating example of how genetic analysis can upend our assumptions about evolutionary relationships based solely on physical characteristics.
Right.
It also raises some really intriguing questions about how and when Moa ancestors arrived in New Zealand and how they lost their ability to fly.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
Well, that's where New Zealand's dynamic geological history comes into play. Around 22 million years ago, an event called the Oligocene drowning maximum submerged most of New Zealand,
Wow.
leaving only small fragments of land above water.
Okay.
So Moa lineages likely clung to survival on these remaining islands,
Right.
potentially explaining why all Moa species that we know of seem to have originated from the South Island.
It's amazing to think that they were able to weather such a dramatic event.
Yeah.
And then around 6 million years ago, the Southern Alps began to rise,
Right.
further fragmenting the landscape and creating mosaic of different habitats.
Yeah. And this geological upheaval likely played a significant role in Moa diversification.
Okay, how so?
Well, isolated populations adapted to specific environment, from dense forests to open grasslands to the, challenging conditions of the alpine zones,
Yeah.
leading to the evolution of this diverse range of Moa species that we see in the fossil record.
It's really cool how, the landscape can just totally change the evolution of these animals.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just mountain building that shaped their evolution. The Pleistocene glacial cycles,
Right.
with their fluctuating temperatures and ice sheets, also exerted selective pressures on Moa populations.
Yeah, and as you know, glacial cycles can drive these rapid changes in species distributions and adaptations.
Sure.
So during glacial periods, larger Moa species might have had an advantage in colder environments due to their lower surface area to volume ratio, which helps conserve heat.
Right.
Conversely, interglacial periods might have favored smaller, more agile species that could thrive in more diverse and fragmented habitats.
So it's like a constant back and forth
Okay.
between the different glacial periods
Yeah.
and the animals that are best suited for them. It's a fantastic example of how environmental changes can drive both speciation and variations in body size within a lineage,
Right.
which are concepts you've likely explored in your evolutionary biology studies.
Absolutely.
And speaking of size,
Yeah.
there's another intriguing aspect of Moa evolution that initially puzzled scientists: sexual dimorphism.
So in many Moa species, particularly the Dinornis,
Right.
males and females were strikingly different in size.
Wow.
Initially, these size differences led to misclassifications, with males and females being identified as separate species.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until genetic analysis were available that scientists realized the extent of this sexual dimorphism.
Can you give us an idea of just how dramatic these size differences were?
Yeah, so in Dinornis, for example, females could be up to 150% taller
What?
and an astonishing 280% heavier than males.
That's crazy.
This extreme dimorphism likely played a significant role in their breeding behavior and social structure, something we'll delve into a bit later.
Yeah.
But first, let's shift our focus to the fascinating details of Moa lifestyle and ecology.
Absolutely. We've covered how they evolved and diversified, but now I'm eager to understand how they actually lived.
Right.
What did their daily lives look like?
Yeah, let's get into that. So let's step back in time and imagine the forests and plains of prehistoric New Zealand just teeming with Moa. And as evolutionary biology students, you understand that behavior rarely fossilizes.
Right.
But thankfully, we have some, tantalizing clues. For instance, fossilized footprints, or what we call trackways, have been found in various locations, including riverbeds and even underwater in Lake Taupo.
Underwater footprints. That's incredible. It sounds like these footprints were preserved in sediments that were later submerged, providing a snapshot of Moa movements from, a distant past.
Exactly.
What can these trackways tell us about how Moa moved?
Well, these footprints reveal that Moa, despite their size, were surprisingly agile. The spacing suggests they walked at a reasonable pace, about 3 to 5 kilometers per hour. Plus, their gait was relatively narrow, meaning they placed their feet almost one in front of the other, allowing for efficient long-distance travel.
That's fascinating how much information we can glean from, simple footprints, speaking of long-distance travel. What fueled these journeys as large herbivores, they must have had quite an appetite.
Right.
In your studies, you've likely explored the relationship between an animal's diet and its digestive system. And in the case of Moa, scientists have examined fossilized gizzard contents and well-fossilized droppings to understand their diet.
Yeah. These less glamorous remnants, known as coprolites, provide a wealth of information.
For sure.
They show us that Moa were dedicated herbivores with diverse palates, consuming a variety of leaves, twigs, fruits, and seeds. They browsed on low-lying vegetation and likely grazed on ferns and grasses as well.
It sounds like they were truly shaping the plant life around them. Were there any plants that they seemed to favor, or did they just kind of eat whatever was available?
Well, there's evidence of specialization among some Moa species, for example. The heavy-footed Moa pachyornis elephantopus had a beak that was perfectly adapted for clipping tough, fibrous plants like New Zealand flax.
Wow.
This specialization likely minimized competition between different Moa species, allowing them to coexist in the same environments.
It's a great example of niche partitioning, a concept you've undoubtedly encountered in your studies on competition and resource utilization. But Moa weren't just passive consumers. Their feeding habits likely influenced the evolution of New Zealand's flora as well.
Absolutely. In the absence of large mammals, Moa acted as the primary seed dispersers for many plants.
I know.
This role likely shaped the distribution and even the morphology of certain plant species. Have you encountered divaricating plants in your studies?
Yes, they have a distinctive growth habit with tangled branches and small, widely spaced leaves.
Exactly. Some botanists believe that this divaricating structure evolved as a defense against Moa browsing. It's like a natural barbed wire fence. Making it difficult for Moa to access the leaves, it highlights the fascinating interplay between herbivores and plants in shaping evolutionary trajectories.
It's a remarkable example of coevolution now. To process all that plant matter, Moa, like many birds, relied on gastroliths.
Right.
These stones, swallowed by the birds, act like a mill inside their gizzards, grinding up tough plant material. What's fascinating is the size of some of these gastroliths, reaching up to 110 millimeters long.
It's a testament to the volume and toughness of the plant matter they consumed.
Yeah.
And they weren't just swallowing any stones. They often chose the hardest quartz pebbles, ensuring maximum grinding efficiency. It highlights the selective pressures that drive even seemingly mundane aspects of an animal's anatomy and behavior.
For sure. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about Moa's social lives. Did they pair up, raise families? Their extreme sexual dimorphism hints at some interesting breeding dynamics.
You're right. The size differences between males and females strongly suggest unique breeding behaviors. Research indicates that in most Moa species, the smaller males were responsible for incubating the eggs.
Wow.
While the larger females focused on producing those massive eggs.
That's a reversal of the pattern seen in many bird species where both parents share incubation duties. This division of labor likely reflects the energy demands of producing and incubating such large eggs. It also raises the question of whether Moa formed pair bonds or had more fluid mating systems.
There's still some debate about the extent of pair bonding, and Moa evidence suggests they weren't colonial nesters like some bird species, meaning they didn't congregate in large groups to breed. Instead, they likely nested in more solitary locations, perhaps in caves or sheltered forest areas. This solitary nesting behavior might suggest more fluid mating systems, but further research is needed to unravel the complexities of Moa's social dynamics.
So we have a glimpse into their nesting behavior, but what about the nests themselves? Were they elaborate constructions, or did Moa kind of keep it simple?
Archaeologists have uncovered Moa nesting material in rock shelters, revealing simple platform-like nests constructed from twigs and plant debris. Okay.
It's a reminder that even these giant birds relied on relatively basic nesting strategies.
And what about the eggs themselves? I'm picturing giant ostrich-like eggs.
They were certainly large, varying in size depending on the species.
Yeah.
The smallest were about the size of a grapefruit, while the largest were closer to a cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Imagine the resources required to produce and incubate such substantial eggs.
It's mind-boggling. And what about their color? Were they all plain white, or is there some variation?
Most Moa eggs were white, but there's a fascinating exception. The upland Moa megalapteryx Didinus laid blue-green eggs.
Blue-green eggs. That's incredible. It makes you wonder about the evolutionary pressures that might have led to such a unique egg color. But I have to ask, given the size of those eggs and the fact that the smaller males were incubating them, how did they avoid crushing them?
That's where it gets even more intriguing. Studies show that some Moa species, including the larger ones, had surprisingly thin eggshells,
Really?
only about a millimeter thick. That seems incredibly fragile, especially for such large eggs. It makes you wonder how they managed to incubate them successfully.
It does raise many questions about their nesting behavior and the delicate balance they had to maintain to ensure the survival of their offspring. It also highlights a key concept in evolutionary biology: trade-offs. Larger eggs might provide advantages for developing chicks, but they also come with increased risks of damage.
It's a reminder that evolution is about finding the best solutions within a set of constraints. But speaking of challenges to survival, let's address the elephant, or rather the extinct Moa, in the room. Their extinction, as the arrival of humans in New Zealand, had a profound impact on the Moa's fate. So the arrival of humans in New Zealand really marked a turning point, not just for the Moa, but for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
As evolutionary biology students, you're familiar with the concept of ecological naivete, where species that evolved in isolation lack defenses against introduced predators.
Right.
Moa are a classic example of this phenomenon.
Yeah, for millions of years they thrived in an environment with no large mammalian predators. Their size and strength were enough to deter any native threats, but then around 1300 AD Polynesians arrived, bringing with them sophisticated hunting techniques.
So it's a stark reminder that even the most dominant species can be vulnerable when faced with these, novel challenges.
Absolutely.
So what specifically led to the Moa's demise? Was it simply overhunting?
Overhunting was undoubtedly the primary driver of their extinction. Moa, having evolved without the need for vigilance or elaborate defenses, were easy targets for skilled hunters using fire snares and spears. Their slow breeding rates further exacerbated their vulnerability, making it difficult for populations to recover from even moderate levels of hunting pressure.
It's a tragic example of how human actions can lead to the rapid decline and ultimately the disappearance of unique and irreplaceable species.
Mm-hmm.
And the impact wasn't limited to the Moa themselves. Right, their extinction likely had ripple effects throughout the entire ecosystem.
You're absolutely right. The loss of such a dominant herbivore had cascading consequences. For example, the Haast's eagle, New Zealand's largest eagle, relied heavily on Moa as a food source.
Oh, wow.
With their primary prey gone, these eagles also went extinct. It highlights the interconnectedness of ecosystems and how the loss of one species can trigger a chain reaction affecting countless others.
It's a sobering reminder that extinction is rarely an isolated event. But shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the evidence we have for the Moa's existence and their ultimate fate. I know there have been occasional reports of Moa sightings over the years. Is there any possibility that they might still exist in some remote corner of New Zealand?
Well, it's true that some animals presumed extinct have been rediscovered. The likelihood of Moa surviving undetected for over 500 years in a country as well explored as New Zealand is extremely low. The lack of credible evidence and the extensive knowledge we have of New Zealand flora and fauna make it highly improbable.
So while we might hold on to a glimmer of hope, the scientific consensus points towards their extinction, but they haven't vanished without a trace. Right, New Zealand is a treasure trove of Moa remains, providing valuable insights into their past.
Absolutely. Bones, eggshells, even preserved feathers and soft tissues have been found in caves, dunes, and swamps across the country. These remains paint a vivid picture of their anatomy, behavior, and evolution.
Are there any particularly notable sites where Moa remains have been found in abundance, places that offer like a unique window into their world?
One that stands out is Pyramid Valley in North Canterbury. Hundreds of Moa bones representing multiple species have been unearthed there, likely accumulating over thousands of years as birds became trapped in the swampy sediments. It's a fascinating example of how seemingly ordinary landscapes can hold extraordinary paleontological treasures.
It's like a glimpse into a lost world frozen in time, and these treasures aren't limited to just bones, right? You mentioned preserved soft tissues. What kind of insights can we gain from these rare finds?
Preserved soft tissues, especially feathers, offer a remarkable level of detail about moa appearance and even behavior. The dry climate of central Otago has yielded some exceptional specimens, including a mummified foot with skin and foot pads intact, and a complete feathered leg showing feathers extending right down to the foot, possibly an adaptation to cold, high-altitude environments.
It's incredible to think that we can still glean information about the texture and color of their feathers after all this time. What have these preserved feathers revealed about moa plumage? Were they drab and brown, or was there more to their appearance?
They were surprisingly diverse. Moa feathers ranged in color from reddish-brown to white to yellowish and even purplish hues, some even displaying speckled patterns. They were generally long and hair-like, providing insulation in the cooler climates of New Zealand.
It's a far cry from the image of dull dinosaur-like creatures we might conjure up when we think of extinct giants. It's a reminder that even in the absence of living specimens, we can piece together a remarkably detailed understanding of their appearance and lives.
It's a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the wealth of information hidden within the fossil record.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Moa, there's one more intriguing aspect we need to touch upon, the possibility of their revival through cloning.
Right.
It's a concept that has sparked considerable debate in both the scientific community and the public sphere. Why are Moa considered potential candidates for de-extinction?
Well, several factors make them suitable, at least theoretically. Their relatively recent extinction, the abundance of well-preserved remains, and the potential to extract viable DNA all contribute to their candidacy, plus their cultural significance. And the public's fascination with these birds add another layer to the conversation.
It's a canalizing idea,
Mm-hmm.
but as evolutionary biology students, you're likely aware that de-extinction is not just a scientific challenge. It's fraught with ethical and ecological considerations. What are some of the potential concerns surrounding the revival of a species like the moa?
Well, the potential impact on existing ecosystems is a major concern. Could we provide suitable habitat for a large herbivore like the moa without disrupting the delicate balance that has developed in their absence? And even if we could we have the right to manipulate nature in such a profound way. These are complex questions with no easy answers.
It's a reminder that scientific advancements often outpace our ethical frameworks, forcing us to grapple with complex dilemmas and weigh the potential benefits against the inherent risks. The story of the moa, from their remarkable evolution to their tragic extinction, and the ongoing debate about their potential revival, offers profound lessons about the interconnectedness of life on Earth, the fragility of ecosystems, and the lasting impact of human actions. Their story also underscores the importance of ongoing research and discovery. Each new fossil, each genetic analysis, each preserved feather adds another piece to the puzzle, deepening our understanding of these magnificent creatures and their place in the grand tapestry of evolution. It's a story that continues to unfold even in their absence. And for you, our listener, I hope this deep dive has inspired you to continue exploring the fascinating world of evolutionary biology, to appreciate the intricate web of life that surrounds us, and to consider the profound responsibility we have as stewards of our planet's biodiversity.
I hope so too.